Hey guys, I'm back, but I'm gonna switch things up a little bit. I thought I might try and do something with zombies and Disney princesses. They were fairy tales with morals long before they were Disney princesses. And either way, the stories are really messed up. Because I have read this one, and it's a disaster. And so to start things off, I think we're gonna choose to pick on Sleeping Beauty. The main villain of the Disney one is Maleficent. She's really like evil, probably one of the scariest villains in all of the Disney movies. And so, without further hullabaloo, here we are, starting out the new document. As some of you might know, I work digitally, so that basically means that I get to scribble on what appears to be a giant iPad when I do a lot of my work. It just simply makes things faster because I'm able to erase quicker and enlarge and reduce. I'm going to make a pose, kind of a dynamic pose. Maleficent here is the main villain of the Sleeping Beauty movies, and definitely not the main villain of the original fairy tale, the one with the moral. And it should be noted that the villain of the old tale is very much different than Maleficent from the new tale. The old tale had, like a creepy, one of those fairies. The fairy god mothers, I believe. There were only 3 of them in the film, and there were 7 of them in the original tale. In fact, the really scary 8th one, who didn't get invited to the christening of the new princess, didn't get invited to her christening party. She showed up all bitter and nasty. After many years, people thought she was dead. They weren't mean and not inviting her. Literally, the story says they weren't sure if she was dead or enchanted. Whatever that means, indeed. At any rate, she decides to lay down a curse while the other fairy godmothers are laying down blessings and gifts about being able to dance really well and being really pretty and being able to play any instrument, because these are the things that are important to a woman, right? Lame. It's an old story, okay? Give it a break. So she decides to lay down the curse, and the curse is not she's gonna die right now, but let's make it really weird. Let's make it so that if she ever pricks her finger or stabs her hand on the spindle of a spinning wheel, that she'll just die. I mean, it sounds oddly specific, crazy, weird. Okay, fine. So she goes on with that, but there's one gift yet to be bestowed by one of the 7 good fairy godparents. So she says, hey, nope, not gonna work. Trump card, she's just gonna fall asleep. Why she didn't just undo the whole thing, I'll never know. I imagine it's probably in the appendix. Let's just say the gifting of magical things is not really my wheelhouse. I don't really, focus on that overly much. But what I do focus on is the design of Maleficent. In all of these zombie apocalypse types of scenarios, you never really see a super confident hunter. They call them hunters. I don't know why they do. You're definitely not hunting. You're surviving. She's a survivor behind that one arm. I'm gonna hit you, but I'm terrified of you at the same time. Don't touch me. Don't bite me. Not the face. At any rate, I'm going ahead and I'm gonna maintain some things from the original Maleficent, like the creepy crow or raven, whatever that black bird is that hangs out up there. I'm going to maintain that. I'm going to keep the weird widow's peak and the super on point eye makeup. She's also got these weird little horns, which I'm not sure if those are horns or a headdress. Either way, it's out there. I'm also going to go ahead and keep that kind of staff. It's a really bland, kind of boring staff, so I think I'm going to make it look a little bit more like I'm gonna make this into a weapon. I'm Maleficent, I lost all my magical powers, so I'm gonna wrap this thing in barbed wire, and I don't know. Why does that make that a good weapon? Get a baseball bat, wrap it in barbed wire. Seems to me like the baseball bat is enough, thank you. The barbed wire is really just a bridge too far. So here we are with the design of the outfit. And I don't know why, whenever I think of the zombie apocalypse, I think of over-preparing for things. So I've got a backpack on her, There's like pots and pans. I believe I'm planning there with some of my lines to do duct tape, like a big roll of it, kind of sticking out of the side. I'm also going to give her a puffy vest, kind of like the one from Back to the Future. It just seems like the kind of thing you would find as you're walking around. You kind of pick it up off a corpse that has had its head stoved in by a bat with barbed wire. There's the horn. See those little lines that I kind of put, those curved lines around the edge of the horn? Those are called contour lines, and I use them all the time. In fact, it's one of the main tenets of art. You'll see that, those arms right now that she has look really flat until you start adding those lines in. See those little, I don't know, hatchy lines I've got? They're curved. They actually make it feel kind of sort of like her arm is curved. All right, so I figure this time around we should talk about contour lines. Contour lines are those things that make it look like something is actually round. Remember, when we're drawing, we're only making two-dimensional kind of representations of things. All I can do is height, width. I don't get any depth to something. I don't know, I just chose gray thing here because I got sick of looking at white. It was killing my eyeballs. Crazy thing, you guys, if you are friends with Obi on Facebook, tell him to clean off his dang desk. That was nice. I'm gonna draw a couple lines. If I was to ask you, is this a pipe or is it like a valley that you would snowboard in, you wouldn't know. You could be, it's either one. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make a duplicate of this over here. The magic of digital. This is a surefire way to show what we're looking at. So, my elbow's right in the face. If I start drawing lines like this, I'm not even gonna try and get them super perfect, right? It looks like this is something like a ditch that you could ride your snowboard in, up in the air. Whereas, if I went ahead and did them in this direction, now it does not look like a ditch anymore that you might boing over. That is probably the worst arrow I've ever drawn in my entire career. The difference between these two things is really the difference between a smile and a frown. Alright, let's draw a couple lines. What if I drew, instead of circles, I drew one of these jobby dudes? It kind of sort of feels like it's a box that I can run into and come out of the other side. What if I had a nice curve and I did this? Looks like a pipe or a cable going off into the distance. Let's try something even more differenter. What is this? If I were to ask you, what is this thing? It's a circle. But if I did something like a smiley face in the middle of it, it starts to feel kind of like a ball, a sphere. Technically, that is a contour line. It kind of makes it look like there's a square in the middle of a cube on the top. But what if I go and give myself some more contour in here? Let's try lines that go to a point. I could also do contour lines like this, and it would give me that same feeling. And now you have what appears to be a waffle cone if I turn this thing upside down. Yoink. A little bit more complex example. Here's a very cartoony kind of representation of what? A tree. This is the spiritual tree, the tree to which all other trees bear some kind of resemblance. Right now it looks kind of boring and flat. What if we started doing like this? I'm going to leave the middle kind of open, and that gives me the illusion of roundness. So in this initial part, I do little circles. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's a contour line, right? What if I started doing something a little trickier? Does it feel like that tree has a little bit more of a undulating nature down here? It's all smiles and frowns. If I just draw a big X, what does it make us feel like we're seeing right off the bat? It appears as if I'm looking down on the very top of a pyramid, maybe. If I draw just like one of the triangles that we had before, give it an extra line, maybe connect these points, I can use the same trick of contour lines. It's a pyramid. So what if, last one, I do something as it comes towards me. Banana. Those horns didn't feel super curved until I added the contour lines. Combat boots. Oh yeah. Well, in this case, I think I'm going to only have her wear one combat boot. It's okay, so she couldn't find a pair in her size, or maybe, she lost it running through a swamp because it's crazy out there. She's pretty prepared, but you're never really entirely prepared, right? For the zombie apocalypse. I like how we made that into a thing. It's been like the last few years. When I say we, I mean nerds in general, have always been kind of into this like alternate future, telling me about how scary it's going to be when the zombies come to eat our brains. And then all of a sudden, everyone started liking superheroes and zombies. It was crazy. Like, whoa, did I just like slip through a wormhole and now I'm not as dorky as I was? But no, now we've made it into an actual word. Zombie apocalypse. Kind of smashing the two together. Zombie and apocalypse. Right, I don't have to explain. So here we are, and I'm going to start in with defining the shapes a little bit more. And you can see as I'm quilting that vest, those are still contour lines. The way they kind of move like her ribs do, kind of go around the side of her. That's all there is to it. Once you start learning principles like contour lines, anyone can draw. I have long maintained that I can teach anyone to draw as long as they want to learn. This is kind of the tattered dress that she normally wears. Is it a dress? Is it a robe? What do wizards, sorceresses, evil people wear? She's got it, but she's only got parts of it. It's been wrecked. No, it's been shreked, if you will, to borrow from the gaming jargon. I'm going to detail out this a little bit more, but I've got it. I don't know why at this point I haven't drawn the log or rock that she's stepping on, because right now it looks a little silly, like she's kicking her leg up in the air, and it looks she's going to fall over. But she's going to have her foot up on something, because she's kind of creeping slowly. I see a zombie. Oh, by the way, we don't call them zombies anymore. There's a whole show that calls them walkers. Just about everybody's seen the show. I followed it for quite a bit of time until I realized it's not really a show about zombies. It's a show about people and how stupid they are. Nobody cooperates. My gosh, you think at the end of the world, when everyone's out to get us, we would kind of work together, maybe not be so antagonistic and steal each other's food? It's awful. Anyway, I stopped watching that show in favor of other more obviously scary stuff like ER. No, seriously, my wife and I are moving through ER right now, and it is one long show. We have come quite a ways. Just about everybody's dead or depressed or alcoholics, and I'm pretty sure it's not that way at every ER in Chicago, because it's based in Chicago. Yeah, I might actually just ditch it and go back to one of those shows that's really, supposed to be terrifying, but really I suspend my disbelief. There are no zombies. It doesn't freak me out, but I tell you what would freak me out, Ebola. I think it was somewhere in one of the episodes of ER, an outbreak like this. That's way scarier. I'd rather subject myself to cartoon violence. Is that a crow? Is that a raven? What's the difference? You know, being the immense Edgar Allan Poe fan that I am, you'd think I'd know the difference, because like The Raven is a very important poem to his body of work. There are so many wonderful things, and his vocabulary was off the charts. But one thing he never did was truly instruct us on the difference between a raven and a crow. I think I know the answer if I really think about it. The Raven is an amazing poem that was created by Edgar Allan Poe a really long time ago, and The Crow was kind of a weird graphic novel that got made into a movie on the silver screen that killed Brandon Lee. And that's kind of in keeping with our theme, right? Legend had it that the Lee family, Bruce Lee, his father, okay, so it was a very limited sampling, alright? Bruce Lee's father, Bruce Lee, and his son, Brandon Lee, all kind of died in kind of unfortunate ways. And it made for this legend, like there was a curse on the family. Ooh. Anyway, that kind of seems like something Maleficent would do to a family of talented martial artists. Don't actually know if Bruce Lee's dad knew any kind of martial arts. Did you know Bruce Lee created his own martial arts? I think it was called Jeet Kune Do, and it was just bizarre. You should check it out. My son was showing me some of it a few days ago, and essentially it looks like Bruce Lee is having a slap fight with whoever he's fighting, and eventually just winds up like just owning the dude. Jeet Kune Do. Slap fight. We're totally not talking color theory this time around. I kind of wanted to keep this monochromatic. Mono meaning one, chroma meaning color. Monochromatic. I do add some other colors in, but overall, the hues should remain really limited. I want it to feel like it's dark out, and every step you take is about to break a twig that might make one of those zombies you're about to club turn around and bite your face off. So you're being really careful. Why does it have to be a dark night? I don't know. It's just what I feel. It's just what I see. I feel like we're moving quietly. And so I'm going to try and like convey that with some of my colors. Also that kind of little pose. She's not really running in there like a berserker. There's the duct tape. Do you see it? The duct tape is sticking out of the backpack. Because honestly, it will be the doom of the human race if ever we run out of whatever duct tape is made out of. Does anyone really know? Duct tape is made out of, well, it's not ducks, it's duct tape. But nobody says duct tape. It's awful. That sound, it's awful redundant. It's like saying ATM machine. ATM machine. What does the M stand for? It's ATM. Oh my gosh. Or AT machine. It's a pet peeve of mine. I'm adding in some color. Sometimes when I watch these things, I feel like someone else was doing it. And I'm like, wow. He's adding in color. He's doing that thing. And oh, that's a contour line. And this guy's not bad. I think I could do it better. I can talk to myself all I want as long as I don't start talking back. That's when it really gets into like the realm of medication, special bracelets and padded rooms and that kind of thing. But until then, I'm just the quirky artist that kind of talks to himself. It is sort of strange, kind of speaking into a microphone about something I already have worked on. It feels pretty lonely and pretty weird, so I like to maybe throw it out there and share it. Maybe somebody will learn something, but mostly I feel like I won't just be speaking it into the void. I'm sharing with all you guys. Oh boy, here we go. Now this was something I decided to try at the last minute because I wanted to make it feel like Maleficent was stalking whatever zombie, maybe it's Sleeping Beauty, stalking whatever zombie that she was after in the dark. But how do you really do that? I didn't want to like make it overly oppressive, like you can't see in the dark. But what if I made it look like the moonlight was kind of piercing through a bunch of tangly trees? And they're very ominous shapes as well. When you use shapes that have craggy, spindly bits that are not very flowing, they tend to make us think about scary stuff or about disarray, and chaos. And that's definitely what I was headed for here, because those are scary shapes. It's just like if you go back to Edgar Allan Poe, read some of his work. But I guess if you were to read only one thing of his, it would be the one piece that I think shows off how much he could use vowel sounds to make you feel things. Bells. Read that short story, that poem, Bells, because he talks about different kinds of bells in there, and it had a certain kind of personality to them. A silver bell has a very sibilant sound, and it's calm, and it's got a ringing tintintabulation is what he says, and it kind of makes you just feel a little light when you hear him say those words that way. Whereas there's also something in there called a brazen bell, a brass bell. Even the word brazen sounds hot and terrifying and a little bit more ominous, and they toll their brazen sounds. Absolute mastery of the vowel sounds. Sometimes art is about the little tiny things. Those things that most people will merely enjoy and will never really know that you put much thought into. But if you're drawing, if you're creating something, think about the flowing lines, about maybe they're aggressive or pointy, dangerous or calming, and those little things start to hint at an exciting story. Story? Oh my gosh. Okay, we got to get back to the actual story of this. The original tale actually doesn't have that one creepy fairy be the main villain, but actually it's the mother of the prince who comes to wake up Sleeping Beauty. Turns out she's an ogre, and ogres like to do things like eat children. So when the prince wakes up Sleeping Beauty, by the way she's 15, when he wakes her up, he hides her away from his mother because his mother's an ogre and wants to eat her. And so she lives in the tower where he has like 2 kids with her and doesn't show the mother because the mother's an ogre and wants to eat the children. As if that weren't bleak enough, somehow they're able to extrapolate from this entire tale a really lousy moral. And they make it all about the girl somehow. The moral's actually written down as a poem, which I will read you right now. Many a girl has waited long for a husband brave and strong, but I'm sure I never met any sort of woman yet who could wait 100 years, free from fretting, free from fears. Now our story seems to show that a century or so, late or early matters not, true love comes by fairy lot. Some old folk will even say it grows better by delay. Yet this good advice, I fear, helps us neither there nor here. Though philosophers may prate how much wiser 'tis to wait, maids will be a sighing still. Young blood must when young blood will. Look it up. Somehow they made it about not waiting for true love or something, like it's her fault. Once again, like tale as old as time, victim shaming. Dumb. And dumb as it may be, I'm actually going to do another one of these. I can't not do one of Sleeping Beauty. I think she's going to be a zombie. Surprise! Now is the time in the video where I ask you to go ahead and hit the thumb, which means you like it. And please, if you liked it and haven't subscribed yet, go find the subscribe button, ding, hit that. And speaking of ding, there is a bell. If you hit the bell, YouTube will tell you when I got a new video. And also, don't forget to share. Share this with anyone who you think might enjoy it or find it interesting. And lastly, create. Create something, especially if it's a better day for someone else.